celebrating 50 years of epic summer blockbusters.
It's Lights, Camera, Alignment today on the Wandering But Not Lost podcast.
And now your host, Jen O'Brien and Matt Emerson.
Hey there, friends, and welcome to the Wandering But Not Lost podcast, the podcast where we explore the path to creativity, clarity, and aligned living. You can find all of our show notes today over at wbnlpodcast.com. This is episode 369. And while we're doing some house cleaning and keeping here, go ahead and like and subscribe to this video if you like what you're seeing and want to hear more of our content. If you are listening on one of the podcast channels, go ahead and give us a review if you would be so kind. We'd love that. And one last thing, our Clarity series, a brand new course just dropped a couple weeks ago. It's called the Clarity series. Module 1, the Rooted in the Unknown, is now out and about down there. And this series is really all about meditation, breathing, journaling. It's about getting yourself back into alignment. It's about discovering who you are. And it's about really getting you grounded back into yourself more than anything else. You can go over to wanderingbuttnotlost.com to get more information on that. You can go over to wbnlcoaching.com and get information on that. So I suggest you run over there and do that. By the way, we are offering a founding member price of $22 for this course. That will include Module 1, which is dropped right now. Module 2 drops on July 18th, which is this coming Friday. And the price goes up to $33 on Friday. So you will want to, if you want to get that $22 founding member price, you better join now before Friday. And then you will get Module 1, obviously. You'll get Module 2, and you'll get Module 3 when it drops in August. So it's quite a little deal there, because by the time August rolls around, the course will be $44, and you will be at $22 for life. So there is a perk to becoming a founding member of the Clarity series.
Basically a couple cups of coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Or so if you're in Las Vegas at one of the hotel properties, no kidding, a Starbucks that would generally be about $5 is $14.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go.
That's actually terrifying.
It is terrifying. So I'm not joking when I say a couple cups of coffee and you can have some clarity in your life.
But not as terrifying as some of the things we're going to talk about today, because today we're firing up the DeLorean and we're cueing the John Williams soundtrack and rolling out the red carpet for one epic summer celebration.
That's right. We are so excited to be taking this joyful, popcorn-fueled road trip through 50 years of summer blockbusters. This is very nostalgic.
It is.
I've seen every one of these films. So from that Mechanical Shark, big deal this year, 50 years of that.
Right.
Which started it all, really. And I'm telling you, I have memories of that, to the pink phenomenon that took over 2023.
I know, crazy. Just that the juxtaposition just between those two summers is pretty crazy. So, as you know, we're calling this the I Know What You Did Last Summer, celebrating 50 years of epic summer blockbusters.
But don't worry, we are wandering but not lost. We are WBNL Coaching, and we're not just going to talk movies. Even though Matt and I have done that before, we're going to dig into these blockbusters from that perspective of what can they teach us about living boldly, showing up fully, and owning our spotlight this summer.
So let's hit the road.
All right. Our first step is 1975. Where were you? Cue that ominous music. Da-dum. Da-dum. Anytime you hear that beginning, where did you get that?
Laura and I got this at Universal Studios one year.
Oh my goodness.
We were on the tram at Universal Studios, and if you're listening to this, I have a little pet shark.
He's got a shark.
It's a jaw shark. And I would bring it out all day and scare Laura. Arr.
Yeah, I love it.
Anyway.
Honestly, that is the memory for me too, the first one. And it is 50 years?
Yeah.
50th anniversary. Didn't you just attend something on that?
Crazy that it's been that old, right? A while.
Yeah, of course we're talking about Jaws.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you haven't figured that out,
rocker, don't know.
And really, it was the first true summer blockbuster, because at that time, the Hollywood was really releasing big movies in the fall because it was becoming Oscar season. It was around the holidays. That's when they really had their focus on movies. And this Jaws phenomenon, which it really, really was, started this whole summer blockbuster thing where they started rethinking about where they were going to release their films to make maximum dollars back. The lines wrapped around theaters. People were afraid to swim, and still are.
I was one of them, for sure.
Yeah, and that's when Hollywood really finally figured out that summer sells. We had the opportunity last week to go to the Hollywood Bowl. For the first time, they I don't know who they is. I guess Universal or whoever. Yeah, Steven Spielberg, whatever. It's the first time that Jaws has actually been shown in a public amphitheater where an orchestra was playing the music. Oh, wow. For the movie, and it was incredible to watch that movie, which, by the way, I haven't seen in a long time. And that thing holds up. It is so good. But to have the orchestra right before, and just, the first time you hit those notes, that bum bump, the whole audience was like, screaming. It was just the coolest thing. So. Jaws is a great way to start the whole.
It really is, and if you're listening, I'm sure you've had something happen in your local area. We had it here, but I just have to share that memory of thinking of kicking this off with Jaws. I'll always have one of those milestone memories. Being, I think I was like 75. I was 13 years old, and I was on vacation up in the Boston area, and I was like, I am not going to the shore. It was filmed up in that,
it's filmed in Martha's Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard. I was like, yeah, no way, not going. It took a long time to even go back into the water. And even to this day, I'll go to the water, but I'm going to be close enough that I can get out of there if I need to.
That's true. Right.
So from Jaws, it just exploded because we're going to let's rapid fire a few of these heavy hitters from every decade.
Yeah, we're not going to go through every single year, 50 years. So don't be worried about that. We're just going to hit, the big ones, because the next big one. The next big one hit just 2 years later, and that'd be just a little flick, kind of a throwaway film called Star Wars. What?
Huge fan here.
Which, by the way, now is there a theme for our composer already? Because there seems to be another John Williams joint here. A galaxy not so far away changed cinema literally forever. Lightsabers, droids, and your destiny. Craziness.
And how about the storytelling of Star Wars to have it be 4, 5, 6 starts it?
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like, I never really got that until the other ones came out. And I'm like, oh my God, it's amazing when you think about
so good.
The legacy of being able to set up years of movies. And honestly, the first one to me is the best one.
Wait, before you go on, where did you see, do you remember where you saw Star Wars?
I don't. I'm trying to think about, definitely in the theater, but I just don't have the same memory like I do with Jaws. After I
77 was a year that I was so lucky I got to go on a foreign exchange thing from my French class over to France during that time frame. Actually, it was 78 is when I went over there, and I hadn't seen Star Wars yet, and the first time I saw Star Wars was in French.
Wow.
La Garde aux Étoiles.
That's an awesome story. You'll always remember that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, what about this one? 1981, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones, the Snakes, the fedora-clad greatness. God, that was a classic as well. One of my favorites to this day, too. One of those ones you can watch again and again. All these are.
Another John Williams joint, by the way. And
I was going to say, I bet.
Let's jump to 1982 and another blockbuster. I mean, it's kind of funny. All these movies we're just talking about right now, literally you could watch if they turned on the TV today. They're still on, all these years later. Here's one, though, that is just talk about something that tugs at your heartstrings.
Yes.
E.T. and the classic, you want to phone home, crying your eyes out, oh my gosh,
And you gotta love it, Spielberg. I'm sure he probably did something in between there, but from Jaws to E.T. to all the other great
he and Lucas did Raiders together.
Oh, that's right, Raiders. Yeah. All right, so 82 E.T. That was a classic. Love that. Could watch that again and again. To 84, who you gonna call? That's right, Ghostbusters. The remake is not as good to me. The classic initial one was just really groundbreaking, right?
I mean, my gosh, the music from all of these movies are, even if you weren't of that time, are still iconic today. You still hear that Ghostbusters theme. In 1985, just the next year, it was Back to the Future. Roads, where we go, where we're going, kid, you don't need them, in that DeLorean. Absolutely amazing. A lot of these were actually, now that I'm watching this, I think about it, a lot of these were Universal movies way back then. That's interesting.
It's kind of cool. Some of these themes, like the Star Wars theme, the whole, galaxy, Back to the Future, the time travel stuff, E.T., really back in 82, really talking about aliens. It's really interesting. Brings us to 86, and you gotta love Top Gun. That original Top Gun, man, that was just one of those ones you have to see in the theater, just because the sounds of those jets. I keep hearing Danger Zone. The soundtrack of that movie is brilliant. Beach volleyball, I related to it because I was in the Army. Aviators, I was still in the Army at that time. Wow. So that was a big one for me, 1986.
1989 was huge for me because I am a huge Batman fan. As that year that Tim Burton's Batman came out with Michael Keaton as Batman, who got a lot of grief for his portrayal of Batman. But I think now that you've seen all the Batmans that have followed, Michael Keaton was a pretty darn good Batman.
Is that one of your favorite outside of the original TV show?
Absolutely, it is. Actually, I really, really like that one. Well, I loved it so much because there had been nothing for all those years, and all of a sudden, this was coming on. This is one of the first, not the first movies, but Laura and I saw this movie on a date.
I am Batman.
I am Batman. It was awesome.
All right, let's fast forward to the 90s.
Yeah, let's do that. To one of my favorite films on this list, actually, 1993, Absolutely. Jurassic Park.
The original. Always the best.
The road hears, the roar heard around the world. I love that line. And then Ian Malcolm was one of my favorite characters in the movie. That was the Jeff Goldblum character.
Yeah, I love that character.
Talking about the chaos theory. And what was there? There was a line that he said, and I just had it earlier today. Something about they will survive, they will adapt, life will adapt, or something like that. It was really interesting. I love that movie. Did you read the book?
No.
I was obsessed with that book, Michael Crichton's book, Jurassic Park. And I read that book, and that was one of those books literally you couldn't put down. So I had read that whole thing, and I was obsessed. I could not wait for this movie to come out. Now, as always, as it is with books and movies, the book is always so much more in-depth and so wonderful. And that book really is. If you haven't read that book, you need to read that book. But the movie was fantastic. You know what I mean? It left out some parts, but it was... that's on my list today still.
Well, and I want to go out and see that newest version.
Oh, yeah.
There's certainly so many of them, from Jurassic Parks to Jurassic Worlds, but I really think that's the classic. The little amber, the little mosquito in the amber, love that whole storyline. That one's the best one to me. 1996, just a couple years later, we're talking Independence Day. This, of course, gets played. It just was played again on all the channels. This is the Will Smith. Back to the alien theme here. We went from the ETs are our friends with Spielberg to the Independence Day. We're going to have to, take out the aliens who are to take over the Earth, right? But again, one of those hero stories, right? 1996 that came out. That's crazy. It was that long ago.
I know. It doesn't seem like it.
Another Will Smith movie coming up, right?
Yeah, I was going to say in 1997, the era, the time of Will Smith. It was Men in Black. Flashy memory wiping coolness. It was really, really awesome as well.
And the alien theme continues.
Right.
This one with a comedy. They live amongst us, but there's somebody controlling it all and wiping your memory.
Yeah.
It brings us to this movie was probably, I don't know, I think everybody, unless they were told, never saw the plot twist coming in The Sixth Sense with, I can't think of his name right now. Hello. What's our actor's name? That I'm thinking of him in, come on, man.
I know.
Come on, he's in there. I'm thinking of him in the Tower movie.
Oh my God!
Come on, man. Why can't we think of his name?
Because we're not 13 anymore.
Holy crap! That'll come back to us in a second. But it's in my head here. But The Sixth Sense, where he's the psychiatrist and talking to the boy. In case you've never seen that movie, maybe we shouldn't talk about it.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
That's the end of that movie. and you are forever going to be like, what? That is great storytelling right there.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's probably best not to talk about that, even though, it was 26 years ago. Please Google him, Jan.
I know. I can't. We're going to be so bummed about not realizing what is the name
embarrassing.
Of Bruce Willis. Hello. I guess we're showing our 63 years.
Sorry, Bruce. We apologize.
Sorry, Bruce. We do.
So let's just move into the 2000s now.
All right, fair enough. We'll start with Spider-Man. My God, how many Spider-Man versions have there been? But that first one, Toby swings in, the superhero season officially begins. Do you think that's the first in the series of superhero movies? Well, other than Batman.
I was going to say, I have to go back to Batman, but I think this did kind of start it. But this wasn't technically MCU yet because...
I was just going to say, does this begin in MCU?
It's not, because Spider-Man was a Paramount. Nope, Sony. Sony owned the rights to Spider-Man. So even the first couple MCU movies, the second Spider-Man came out after MCU had kind of launched, but it was still a Sony film. So all that had to be all worked out, and Disney and all that stuff with Sony. So I would say yes to kind of starting the superhero craze, but not to the MCU.
All right, well, definitely became one of the things in the coming years, as we're going to talk about here, right? So from Spider-Man, we go to 2003 and...
Pirates of the Caribbean, Johnny Depp. Nothing better than turning a theme park attraction into a blockbuster film, but somehow, they were able to do it. I'm just saying. And then subsequently, they converted the attraction... for what was, dedicated and started back in 1969 back into, or added Johnny Depp to that. So what synergy the Walt Disney Company has. But Pirates was a huge film back in 2003. And then, 1,000 spinoffs since then.
I was going to say that there's definitely some theme in here of attractions at Disney tied into some of these blockbusters.
Yeah. And Universal.
And then in 2008, we see the darker side, the very, very darker, brooding side of Batman with the Dark Knight. It really was good, but boy, it was a different vibe for sure than the action hero sort of.
Yeah,
thing.
It was actually, and I liked
a good film.
Honestly, I liked all the Batman movies.
Sure.
But the Dark Knight, it's when it kind of turned. I always liked the lighter side of Batman, but that's not really Batman's character. So I was raised on something that wasn't really authentic either. So now, Jan O'Brien, is where we enter the Marvel era.
With the Avengers, assemble, right? I mean, that first Avengers, I have to sometimes go into Disney and look at that one that says, look at them in order, chronological order. Same with Star Wars to remember what comes first, because they certainly didn't release them that way, right?
Right. Oh, absolutely. And on that note, you might be thinking to yourself, boy, there's a lot of movies you're not talking about. Remember, not all movies are released in the summer. A lot of blockbuster movies are released in the fall.
That's a great point.
So when I was going through this list, I'm like, where are all the Harry Potter movies? They're not on the list here. Well, the reason why they're not on the list is because they weren't summer films. Or
there you go.
They weren't mostly summer films.
And there must be a marketing theory to all of that as well.
Sure. Well, obviously, because, a lot of these films that are a little bit more family oriented, that, Christmas and Thanksgiving are more family holidays.
Sure enough.
And there's an audience and a need for that back then, or around that time of the year. So in 2014, following up on the MCU's wild success they've already had with Iron Man, and because really Avengers came a little bit later. It was like the third or fourth film in the series there. Galaxies of the Guardian. Oh my gosh, we were driving around yesterday and that song came on, the Star-Lord theme song, and you just get the feels. It's like, it makes you smile of him, putting on those earphones and turning on that, Walkman. Pretty cool.
That's what I loved about that movie. A lot of times why I end up remembering movies is the soundtrack, and what the connection for the Guardians was 80s music. Was the 80s music. The 80s music was just brilliant. Exactly. And you'll want to listen to what he was listening to right on his Walkman. So from 2014 Guardians of the Galaxy back to another Jurassic. Now it's Jurassic World. The dinos are back in business, right?
Yeah, this was with Chris Pratt this time, I believe, right? It wasn't Jurassic World,
Which was good. Good with the blue and the taming the.
Yeah. So see, in 2014 and 2015 was like back in the Independence Day and Men in Black. This was the Chris Pratt years.
Yeah, there you go.
Because he flipped from the MCU over to Jurassic Park. Anyway, back to the MCU in 2019 was Endgame. Just, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I don't think that there really honestly has been a better superhero movie ever made. That had it freaking all right. So it's crazy. Just, all the emotions that could happen. And then, we won't, like I said, we don't want to have a bunch of spoilers here, but the whole Iron Man thing and that too much. Mm-hmm. All after a global pause, which is really kind of prophetic considering we had a global pause right after 2019 in real life. Yep.
Now come full circle with Top Gun. I will say this was in 2022, Top Gun Maverick comes out. I have to tell you, I was just as impressed with this movie. I like the original. In fact, I got myself ready to go see this in the theater by watching the original. I wasn't disappointed in this movie, but you really needed to see it in the big screen, in my opinion. Not the same.
Only movie on this list I did not see.
Really?
Yep.
Well, I'm not always the biggest Tom Cruise fan. I kind of looked back at some of the Mission Impossibles, and there was really some good storytelling in there. But that movie, those two Top Gun movies, really are good.
Well,
so,
all right,
there you go.
And then 2003 was really phenomenon year of this whole Barbenheimer thing that was going on with Barbie and Oppenheimer. Yeah. And really in 2023, talking about COVID again, this is kind of when we started getting really back into business again. Theaters were, they had been open for a while, but this summer was the first real summer. 2022 was not the summer there weren't the packed theaters.
Great point.
Yeah, exactly.
People didn't want to go back in.
No, so this was the year that not only, so part of this phenomenon was because people were getting kind of back into life again. But oh my gosh, both of them great films. And they all broke the internet. They broke records. One was Pink and Fabulous, and one was Atomic and Haunting. Perfect double feature of cultural contrast, and just the way those two movies and all the actors and the studios played off of each other of those films too, kind of realizing that together it became a thing, was kind of a great thing to watch too. So each of these films we've been talking about, and then by the way, talking about there's the new Jurassic World movie coming out this summer. There's Fantastic Four coming out this summer. There's all kinds of great stuff in 2025 that's going to be coming out as well. I wonder what the hit with 2024 was. I don't remember movies from last summer. Do you?
Mm-mm.
No, me neither. Why did we kind of stop going to the movies? But we've been a few times this year. So each of the films that we just talked about captured something big. Our imagination, our fears, our joy, and our awe, which is so true. And they brought us together in a lot of ways. And I swear to God, when you really look back on that list, just what you said, Jan, what a lot of times you remember is the freaking soundtrack of that movie or the score from that movie. They all are phenomenal. And there was definitely a pattern of directors and producers and studios in that list as well.
Which brings us to, asking the question, what actually makes a summer blockbuster? Because not all of them are blockbusters, right?
Nope.
So it's big risk, big stakes. It's definitely a big budget, big emotion. Blockbusters are going to tap into something universal. And we talked about that as we were going through. There were a lot of themes. There were a lot of parallel themes that were happening throughout there. They make us feel something. They push the envelope. That's really what the deal is. You feel, you just don't go and watch, like you're really immersed in it when you go see that in the theater. So we had the animatronics of Jaws, which was so new, right, at the time.
Yeah.
To the CGI of all the stuff in Jurassic Park, to the practical flight scenes in Top Gun. And really, there was, he's known for, Cruise is known for doing a lot of his own stunts and doing all that and making that real. Summer hits innovate. They bet on something bold or something different.
That's right. And that's where it really hits home, because we can actually try to live that way too, not with $100 million budget, although wouldn't that be nice, but with intention, alignment, and audacity. So what would it look like if you lived your life like it was your summer blockbuster? What story would you actually tell in that if you're weaving that tale, and what would your soundtrack sound like too? Think about that one. Anyway, are you playing it safe? Are you betting on your creative instincts? That is a pretty good question, because that's where a lot of us find ourselves, kind of in that little center spot, right? Are you waiting for the perfect scene, Or are you ready to call action?
Well, I love this little exercise that we cooked up for you. Imagine your summer is a movie. So this is a fun, creative exercise to do. What's the title?
Love it.
Who's in your cast besides you? Your co-stars? Who's directing it? Where are you in the process? Are you stuck in pre-production? Are you already filming and figuring it out as you go? Or is it time to go to the premiere? So every good movie has a moment when the hero faces a choice. What's your moment right now? And honestly, good storytelling is always about the hero's journey anyway, right? If you go back on all those movies, you can plot that hero's journey, which is basically the plot twist and the relationships. And that's where they are a mirror of life, and many of us go, I think all of us go to the movies to escape reality, but it's just putting it up on a big screen with bigger, the blockbuster theme, if you will. But when you really look at it, why not create a blockbuster movie yourself and be the star of that movie?
Just think about what you do. A lot of times when you see a movie like that, it will seep into your life as time goes on. You'll think you'll think, well, gosh, I feel like Indiana Jones, or I feel like one of these characters. You kind of take on that persona. So you're absolutely right. The beauty of these blockbusters, though, isn't just the spectacle; it's the connection, the courage, the clarity. This summer, give yourself permission to live with boldness. Write that script, take the risk, and share the story. Because no one else can make your movie. Oh no. And you, my friend, were born for the starring role.
Whether you like it or not, you are the star.
Yeah, that is
your movie. So thanks for taking this joyride with us through 50 years of summer movie magic, the nostalgia. I can't believe I saw all those movies and then some.
That's
you
crazy.
Got one you got to go see.
I know. No.
It's not going to be in the theater. Won't be the same. We hope it brought some memories back to you and maybe sparked a little fire. So let us know what's your summer blockbuster, or what did we miss that you really enjoyed yourself? Tell us all about it. You can send comments, on any of our channels, DM us, just let us know, drop us a note. We'd love to hear from you.
I was thinking when you're talking about budgets of films, because I've been doing a lot of Jawsing. I was listening to a Jaws podcast the other day because I kind of got obsessed after seeing Jaws in the orchestra last weekend. Jaws' original budget was $4 million. Back in 1970.
That's nothing, right?
Right, exactly. Well,
that was a lot then.
It was really his first. He had done a couple movies before, but this was Steven Spielberg's big thing. He was 26 years old, so the studio gave him $4 million to do this. Well, because of all the shark problems and all the issues they had, the budget actually went to $9 million, so more than doubled, which is huge, right? Right, because they had no idea what this was going to do. Within the first 3 months, it had made $110 million in the box office in 1975. So I would say that he did okay on that film.
Yeah, probably that might have been the best margin ever, right?
No kidding, right? That kind of blew me away when I read that. And if you're ready to roll camera on your next big thing, don't miss next week's episode, because we're going to be diving into storytelling, identity, and how to live like the main character of your own blockbuster film.
Love it.
You can find all the show notes for this episode, though, over at WBNLpodcast.com. This has been episode 369. So run over and check that out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Clarity series. And until next time, lights, camera, alignment.